Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to the channel. My name is Tony. This is the 15-Minute Gamer, and today I'm bringing you my top real-time strategy games to play in 2022. These are the ones I always go back to, always keep installed on my computer, and I just love. This isn't in any particular order, and I've also included a special mentions list at the end, so keep watching for that. So without further ado, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, tap the notification bell, smash that like button, and comment below to let me know what some of your favorites are. Right, let's get to it. Starcraft II. Starcraft II is, well, I guess you could say the titan of the RTS genre. It comes in 3 parts: single player, multiplayer, and co-op. And if you don't know, just Google online multiplayer Starcraft II tournaments. You will be amazed. This game is free to play, kinda. For free to play, you get the co-op and the multiplayer, and you get the first third of the single player campaign. You can then pay £27 or about $32 if you want to unlock everything else. There's quite a bit to unlock in multiplayer and heroes and stuff like that. First off, the game comes with a cracking single player campaign with just under 30 missions if you go free that offer something different almost every time, and they're just a joy to play, with graphics that still hold up today and really good AI as well. The controls are tight, they're responsive, and the UI is easy to use, and mixed out with great sound, you just have such a good package. If you're willing to pay the money, you do get another 40 missions over 2 campaigns, and they cover the different factions, and they're still excellent to play. There's constant research and development choices throughout the game. If you're indecisive, you might want to change that a little bit, because you will have to make some decisions. As a new player, you'll be constantly weighing up whether to invest in like permanent upgrades, or maybe things for the short term, or maybe you want to unlock new units. You're always kind of deciding how you want your playstyle to go. It also has the most competitive multiplayer out there, and it's where many people believe that Starcraft II shines and where you should play. And believe it or not, over the 10 years of this game being out, they've given away $36 million of prize money for playing this game. As I said, YouTube, some clips, it's unreal. On top of this, there's also a bunch of free mods. It's just a shame it's owned by the evil corporation that is Blizzard, but since it's mainly free, technically you don't have to give them anything. Next up is Supreme Commander. Within this, I am going to put in Forged Alliance and Supreme Commander 2. I can't pick between them. They're all really good. The Supreme Commander series is just excellent all over. It's set amongst the infinite war, and it has you out there trying to find peace among the chaos. It's called the Infinite War, so God knows how successful you'll be in that. You'll have to use every brain cell in this one, because the AI is just excellent, and there are devastating weapons out there as well. I would say it's more of a relaxing RTS experience. There isn't too much micromanagement, which is sometimes what you're looking for. The campaign is excellent from start to finish within all 3 games. There are huge tech trees to work through, and there's some like experimental units as well, which are really cool. There's like giant crab things, and there's nuclear payloads which can destroy major bases and everything. It's just great. One of the coolest things about this game is that it features a really nice map system. There's so much going on, you can zoom out all the way out and kind of like look from like a tabletop top-down experience, and you can get a real feel for what's happening around the battlefield, and your units turn into like markers on the map, and then you can zoom right in to see what's happening. It's fantastic. Very few RTS games manage to make sci-fi look this good. It's over a decade old, and it still looks fantastic. Little dated in parts, but that doesn't take away from how great it is. Next up is Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition. I'm including the Definitive Edition here because it just brings the original into the modern day. The original Age of Empires 2 is just an all-time classic, and not just in the real-time strategy realm. I'm talking about just gaming in general. It's fantastic. What makes it so great is the combination of units and tech research, and it just makes the game kind of replayable all the time. You'll always be thinking, well, could I have one doing it that way or that way? And I like that in an RTS. The Definitive Edition is pretty much just a full remake. It updates the art, unit AI, and it even brings in new campaigns and new civilizations. It's just the perfect package. Age of Empires 2 is just like, it gets the mix perfect. It's the right mix of combat, civ development, construction, and resource gathering. And it just means you're kind of always busy doing something. You're not having to wait for everything. You'll just be like, oh, well, that's doing that. I'll just go off and do something else. Also, combat is just more developed than just two sides going at it with each other. You'll have to think of fortifications, not just yours to defend, but also to attack. There's siege tactics to employ, and all sorts of issues can cause your assault to just crumble. You really have to plan your attacks, but also think how you're going to defend if you get attacked. And not many RTS get that right. Outside the campaign, there's also a multiplayer. This edition makes it super easy to connect with friends. The fact it's sitting at 96% positive reviews on Steam just tells you everything you need to know about this title. So next up is Company of Heroes. And I mean, what to say about this absolute gem of a game? Company of Heroes is set in World War II. And I know you're going to go, oh God, not World War II. I know it is slightly overused as a theatre, especially in first-person shooters. But this gets it spot on. There's no active economic component here. There's no construction of complex bases. Instead, you lead small groups of units and vehicles, and you have to control and capture and hold nodes on the map. For each one you capture and hold, you'll then generate income, which means you can then bring in reinforcements. The troops earn like veterancy levels as well over time, which gives them additional abilities and stats. This means that your main priority really turns to keeping your troops alive, because the longer you keep them alive, the better they will get. Sometimes you'll just totally retreat just to preserve that troop, and there's not many RTS that get that or do that. It's a different type of resource management. Instead of money, it's troops, and you really care about your soldiers. And because of the way resources are managed, it makes for some really tough decisions of when to fight or when to flight. There are also some excellent DLC campaigns too. Company of Heroes 2 was just as good, and the newly announced Company of Heroes 3 will change the formula a little bit. They're going to go to like a Total War real-time strategy with a map, overarching map kind of thing. I am excited for it. I just hope it works and is good as the previous two games, but only time will tell. So next up is World in Conflict. This moves away from the World War II theatre and brings into Cold War and contemporary warfare. World in Conflict brought this like Cold War type scenario up front and center. Not only does it have an amazing single player campaign, but it also managed to create a really unique and engaging multiplayer experience. Starting with the multiplayer for a change, I know I'm all about single player, but talking about multiplayer here is each player picked a tactical combat role, such as armor, helicopters, infantry, or support, as well as having like different off-map strikes. It meant the players had to play in a careful coordination, because you had to help each other to take the territory, because nobody was good at everything. Teamwork was just key, and you just don't see that in many RTS games where it's that level. Sadly, official multiplayer support has ended. It's shut down. There's also no remake or sequel in sight, and it means it's the end of this, and it's such a shame, because it was really just one of the best multiplayer games out there. On top of that, now it is single player, and it does have a really good story that features like personalities, and the characters develop as you play. And I would say it's probably the best single player in an RTS game ever. You'll start off defending the USA against a Russian invasion. There's also an expansion when you're the Russians trying to paint the world red. It still looks beautiful, and it's a game I revisit over and over again without getting bored of it. Next up is They Are Billions. This is one of the more recent games on the list, but I really can't think of an RTS game lately that has spawned such a subgenre such as this. The survival strategy subgenre really just kicked off with They Are Billions. This game just went, here guys, have a new subgenre, and it just done it so well. They Are Billions just immediately gets your attention with a simple premise of building a settlement and surviving against zombies. Like, you're like, well, how hard can that be? It's bloody tough. And one mistake and your whole game is just ruined. It's a simple yet effective approach which creates like a constant sense of dread and tension, as you never quite know when you're gonna be losing this game. You're like, well, I'm quite safe. Then you'll see a zombie heading towards your house and you're like, oh god, no. And within 1 second, that is game over. You will fail over and over again, and you'll try different tactics, different defense strategies, and it's kind of like a bit towery defense in some ways as well. And I love the balance between defending but also going out into the map with like maybe 10-15 archers and just going out and killing some zombies, destroying some towns, getting some resources. This is obviously quite heavily geared towards city building. There's a lot of it, and resource gathering. The horde in this game can get massive. Later on, you'll be getting attacked by thousands upon thousands of zombies. Unfortunately, and I will say this to be honest, this RTS can come across as a bit repetitive, and it is a bit of a one-trick pony at times. The game just doesn't expand beyond its initial premise, and it's why other games in this like genre have just kind of picked it up, and there's loads of them now, but they all do something slightly different to improve on what They Are Billions bought. The campaign was just terrible. It was really disappointing, to be fair, but if you stick to sandbox mode, it's just absolutely amazing. And I know that might sound a bit negative, but this is probably one of the most leading examples of a new strategy just brought to the table. They Are Billions just smashed in there and just went, hey, this type of subgenre is brilliant. And everyone just went, my god, it is. And it is just a great RTS on top of that. I just wish it could have done a little bit more, but it well deserves a place on this list. No list would be complete without a Command and Conquer game. So up next is Red Alert. I mean, Command and Conquer was just some of my earliest gaming memories. I loved them, and it introduced me to the real-time strategy genre. I still remember some of the maps, some of the games I had, multiplayer as well, playing over LAN. It just holds such a special place. I love the cheesy intro videos, you know, the live action, which you just don't really see in games anymore. And Command & Conquer certainly sits on just kind of the high table of RTS greatness. Picking one was tough, but I went for Red Alert. And what I loved about this was just the wild adventure of the campaign. Basically, Einstein used time travel to prevent the rise of Hitler and thus World War II. But then because there was no Hitler, the Soviet Union just went, well, we could attack Europe. And that's where the story goes. And it's just so good. You get two campaigns. The over-the-top story, as you can tell, just matches the look and feel of this game and the units. I mean, you get things like the Tesla coils, which are just iconic, and it's just so colourful. A bit cartoony in how it looks, but it just looks amazing. Command and Conquer just inspired a whole genre in a way. It was so good. You could pick up most of the Command and Conquer series and just have a great time, but I would say Red Alert 1 and 2 probably stand up there as the best. And there we have it, guys. Now, let's move on to a few special mentions here. First up is Regiments. This is a modern one. It's not even out yet. It's an RTS set in Germany in the late 80s. However, you can go and play test it for free, and when I can say play test, there's loads of updates and stuff. It's one of my favorite modern type RTSs, and what I mean by that is RTSs have kind of moved a little bit. You have, like, you know, cards which have your units on, and the more areas you capture on the map, you then get command points, and you have the cards and you can bring them into the map. And before, you might start with a few extra cards and you have to decide what you're going to bring. It supports single player as well. The campaign sounds like it's going to be so much fun. At the moment, obviously, it is in early access or demo form. It has over 60 vehicles and it's got great visuals. You're really in for a treat. Next up is Wargame Red Dragon. If you like multiplayer, this one is probably for you. The single player campaign is alright. I wouldn't say it's great though, and the game does not hold your hand or tutorialize you very well at all. There are 17 nations to pick with over 1,500 units. In this one, you kind of like build decks, and it's all like a game of rock, paper, scissors. So you know, if you get an anti-aircraft against that, or that against that, or that tank can take that out, and you've really got to think about the decks you're building. There's massive videos like covering deck building and stuff. It is starting to show its age a little. The community is horribly toxic at times as well. Just read the chat in the bottom corner and you'll see what I mean. But if you can get into it and show your skills off, it's just one of the best multiplayer real-time strategy games out there. Next is Command & Conquer Generals Evolution. This isn't included in the main list, as it's a remake, so to say, of Command & Conquer Generals and not an official one. It has amazing graphics, loads of units, maps, and quality of life improvements. It's made by a small team and it's free to play. It's in version 0.3 at the moment. Just download it and check it out. It is fantastic. Next up is Frostpunk, which is the bleakest RTS ever made. You can even make children work for you. Basically, the Earth is frozen over. You have to keep a colony of people going around a central heat source. It's city builder / survival RTS, and this one you're fighting against the elements. It's super tough with a great atmosphere, but make sure you're not playing if you're not feeling very happy, because this one will destroy your soul. Next up, Call to Arms. This would make the top list. I love this game, but it has a few problems, and I find the AI to be rather annoying, and it either goes stupid or stupidly difficult. It has one of the best mechanics in real-time strategy gaming though, and that's if you click on a unit, you can then take over your unit and go into a first-person shooter type mode. So if you see a soldier with a sniper rifle take over control and assault an enemy compound, it doesn't do the first-person shooting bit great, but it's such a great RTS, great mix, and there's also a bunch of cool mods to top it off. Next up is Command Modern Operations. This is a scale of RTS which you will not see anywhere else. It's actually used, or a version of this is used by the actual military to train and plan combat operations. You can simulate every military engagement from the end of World War II to the present and the future. The database scale in this is unreal. Every single unit is in there, every missile, every ammo type, with full information on what it does. There's pictures to look at so you can see what units. It's just crazy. And how big's the map? Well, it's the world. You can go anywhere around the world in this. It's fantastic. It's got great scripting in there. What holds it back from being on the main list? It's very hard to get into, to mod, to script. You have to learn quite a bit, and also it can get very, very, very complex, but it is the ultimate real-time strategy, just not for the faint-hearted. And last up, I'm going to put in Rise of Nations. Because of the unique feature it has, it advances throughout the ages as you play. So you start with spears, but you can end with tanks. But also, if someone doesn't advance as quick, you can have a tank against a spear. No real-time strategy really does that. Also, a really unique feature is as you develop nukes, every time a nuke is deployed, there's an Armageddon clock which counts down by 1. If it goes to 0, everybody on the map loses. So if you're playing multiplayer, it becomes an amazing stalemate because, like, you're like, well, I can't fire one of these because then we're going to go to 0 and everyone's going to lose. Or you've got, like, you need to control it, and it's so good. I just wish there was a remaster as it's looking rather old and could do with some quality of life improvements, but it's well deserved to be on that list. And anyway, guys, there it is. That's my list. Remember to comment below to let me know if any you would add to the list. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.